The Outer Rim Exchange never slept, but tonight it hosted the biggest prize in a century. The coordinates of a fresh, undefended world. Inside the auction house, a Vixari broker named Robert stood at the podium, greed lighting his bulbous yellow eyes.
Ladies and gentle beings, I present the location of Soldic 3, a cradle world ripe for plunder. Bidding starts at 10 billion credits. Do I hear 11, 12 from the Crimson Wake, 14, 15? The sky is the limit for a world without teeth.
By the time the gavel fell, 47 clans had pooled their treasuries, wiring 47 billion credits in a single transfer. The Crimson Wake flagship loomed in dry dock, a jagged mountain of scarred hull and weapon ports. 600 warships, destroyers, frigates, raiders, assembled into a single armada, engines burning cold and eager. In a cascade of distorted starlight, the Crimson Wake leaped toward Earth, leaving the exchange far behind.
47 billion. And those hairless apes don't even know their sun is burning on borrowed time.
600 ships, one target, and no one to stop them. At least, that was what Robert believed. The Crimson Wake tore back into real space, 600 warships blooming around a blue marble called Earth.
A planet this ripe, and not a single defense platform. The Vixari broker undersold how soft these apes really are.
Then the sensors painted something no one expected. A single battered freighter loitering near the moon, hull patchy and scarred.
One ship. The humans left a welcoming committee. Is it armed? What's the crew count?
The freighter looked like it had been dragged through an asteroid field and never repaired. Scorched plates, welded patches, paint peeling away.
Scan every bolt on that rust bucket. If it's a trap, I want to know before we step into it.
The bridge crew murmured as the results came back. One life sign, human, minimal reactor output, and 0 active weapon systems.
One human. That's either a ghost or the stupidest decoy in history. What kind of trap uses a single man?
His cybernetic eye focused on the freighter's image, suspicion warring with the greed that had brought him this far.
Open a channel. If this human wants to talk, let's hear what he has to say. Then we board. All 600 of us.
Aboard the Mary, a console erupted in red light. 600 new contacts dropping into Earth space.
Right on time, Robert, you predictable bastard.
He crushed the stub of his cigarette into a crowded ashtray, the bandages on his knuckles stiff with dried blood.
600 ships. Robert really outdid himself. Good. The more, the better the message.
A flick of a switch, and the Mary's thrusters groaned to life, pushing the battered hull onto an intercept vector.
Let's see if these pirates remember their manners. I've got tea brewing and a lovely view of the fleet.
He leaned forward and opened a wide-band communication channel, his thumb resting on the transmit key.
47 clans pooled their lunch money for this. Almost feel bad for them. Almost.
Outside, the Mary closed distance with the Armada, a minnow swimming toward a school of sharks.
All right, Admiral. Let's have a conversation.
David thumbed the transmit key. His voice crackled across the Crimson Wake flagship's bridge, casual as a neighbor asking to borrow sugar.
Afternoon, boys. Captain David Reeves of the Mary. I see you've come a long way. Hop aboard. I've got tea and terms.
Tea. The creature wants us aboard for tea. Either he's insane or he's hiding something massive.
Cale's cybernetic eye narrowed. A trap this obvious was almost an insult, but the sheer audacity gnawed at his instincts.
Prepare a strike team. Heaviest armor, breaching charges. If this is a bluff, I want to see the human's face when he sees our guns.
Across the Armada, docking clamps extended, and a boarding tube locked onto the Mary's outer hatch with a shutter. Inside the Mary, David killed the comm and stood, cracking his neck. The welcoming committee would be here soon.
Move out. I want to see this human's face when he realizes 600 ships are aimed at his little freighter.
The strike team moved through the docking tube, weapons hot, boots echoing on metal.
Showtime. Let's see how many of them can fit in the cargo hold.
The inner airlock door groaned open, and Kale's strike team poured into the Mary's narrow corridor, rifles raised.
Weapons hot. Any sudden moves, and this tin can becomes your coffin.
Easy, big guy. No need to redecorate. I just waxed the floor.
David pushed off the wall, hands in his jacket pockets, a fresh cigarette dangling unlit from his lips.
You're awfully relaxed for a man with 600 guns pointed at his head.
Stress is bad for the complexion. Besides, you guys came a long way. Least I can do is show you around.
He turned his back and walked deeper into the freighter, the pirates falling in behind with uncertain steps.
Where's your crew? Scans showed only one life assign.
You're looking at him. Crew's on vacation. It's just me and the cargo.
The pirates exchanged glances. A single human, alone, and he acted like he owned the entire fleet.
So, which clan sprung for the decor? The flagship's got a real impending doom vibe.
I didn't come here for a tour. You said something about terms. What exactly are you offering?
David fished a lighter from his pocket and finally lit the cigarette, the flame dancing in the dark corridor.
Patience. All good negotiations start with a proper venue. Just another 60 meters.
My patience is thinner than your hull. If this is a waste of time, I'll space you myself.
They rounded a corner and came to a massive blast door sealed with yellow caution markings.
And here we are, the cargo hold, and inside, a gift.
A gift? A single crate? What could possibly be worth the risk of facing my fleet?
David punched a code into the panel, and the door began to grind open, revealing only darkness beyond.
Oh, it's not a crate. It's an opportunity.
The blast door thudded fully open, revealing a cavernous cargo hold, empty, except for a small black cube in the exact center.
Welcome to the main event, Admiral. That little box is my negotiating leverage.
Leverage? It looks like a piece of debris. What kind of joke is this?
David strolled toward the cube, his footsteps echoing in the empty bay. The pirates spread out, weapons still trained on him.
No joke. This little guy is worth more than every ship in your fleet combined. It's the reason I am not running.
You are insane. One box against 600 warships. I could vaporize you and take it.
David stopped beside the cube, resting a hand on its smooth surface. His casual smile never wavered.
You could try, but if you destroy this ship, you destroy the one thing keeping you alive. Trust me, you want to hear my terms.
Terms? You are the one surrounded. State your offer, human, before I lose interest.
That's it. Keep them focused on the shiny box. While they're looking here, they aren't looking at the trap.
You expect me to believe that little box holds any power? This is a bluff, human. A desperate, pathetic bluff.
Guess we'll have to verify that. Mind if I smoke? Helps with the theatrics. The cube moves things. Asteroids, shuttles, debris, whatever you pointed at. I'll give you a taste.
A gravity manipulator. Those are military grade. How does a lone freighter captain get his hands on one?
Long story. Let's just say Earth isn't as undefended as the brochure claims. Shall I demonstrate?
David pulled a squat remote from his jacket, thumb hovering over the activation switch.
Fair warning. It's a little disorienting the first time. You might want to hold on to something.
Enough theatrics. Do it. If this is a trick, my men will turn you into a stain.
The cube responded to the remote with a subsonic hum, its edges shimmering with faint blue light. The air in the hold thickened, pressing against the pirates' chests. David's smile widened as he savored their unease. The cube's hum sharpened into a piercing whine. Outside, a docking shuttle tore from its moorings and began sliding toward the Mary.
Gentle tug. Enough to move metal, not crush bone yet.
Through the hold's narrow viewport, the captured shuttle drifted closer, its hull creasing like foil under unseen pressure. The gravity shift reached the pirates. Several stumbled, boots sliding, rifles clattering as they fought to stay upright.
Enough. You've made your point. A gravity weapon. I've never seen one so small. How do I know you won't use it on us?
Because you have something I want, Admiral. Credits. Safe passage. A guarantee Earth stays off the menu. Simple trade.
You think you can blackmail the Crimson Wake? I could signal my fleet to reduce this freighter to dust.
You could. But then, you'd never get the cube. And I'd make sure the resulting singularity takes a bite out of your flagship.
Kale's cybernetic eye twitched. The human was cornered yet utterly in control, and the Admiral hated how much he wanted that power.
Bite down on the hook, big fish. Keep dreaming about the weapon, not the trap you are already inside.
I'll give you one chance, human. Hand over the cube, and I'll let you walk away. Refuse, and you die here.
Walk away? That's generous. But I've got a counteroffer.
His thumb found the remote again, the other hand fishing out a fresh cigarette, as if time were his to waste.
You really shouldn't have come here.
The cube's hum spiked into a shrieking crescendo. Blue light flooded the hold, and the gravity field inverted. Pirates floated upward, screaming, then slammed into the deck as gravity tripled, pinning them like insects.
You treacherous worm. Fire. Kill him.
Laser bolts sizzled across the hold, but David was already moving, ducking behind a support bulkhead.
Phase 1 complete. Now to not die in Phase 2.
The cube's light became blinding, and the Mary's hull groaned as the gravity well reached beyond the ship, grasping toward the fleet.
You wanted to know what it is, Admiral? It's a soul defense beacon, not a weapon for sale, a trap for pirates.
A beacon? For what? Towing rocks? You'd sacrifice yourself to crush a few ships.
Not a few, all 600. This beacon projects a neutron-scale gravity well. It'll collapse your entire fleet into a single point.
Kale clawed for his comm unit, but the channel hissed dead. The cube's energy was blanketing all signals. Outside, the flagship's sensors shrieked. A gravitational spike was expanding from the freighter, pulling the nearest ships off course. The Mary's hull bucked, but internal fields held. The beacon was doing exactly what it was built for, catching every ship in a closing fist. A pirate destroyer was already drifting, its engines flaring in vain as the gravity gradient wrenched at its spine.
You'll die in this trap too, human. Deactivated now and I'll get you out.
More ships began to slide toward the freighter, caught in the invisible well. Across the armada, alarms blared and crews scrambled.
No way out for any of us. That's the point, Admiral. But I made peace with that the moment Roberts sold Earth's address.
The gravity field lurched again, slamming pirates against the walls and scattering their weapons. David used the chaos to break from cover.
Kill him. Forget the plan. Put every bolt into that human.
David vaulted a fallen crate, his body adjusting to the shifting weight as he closed on the nearest guard.
Judgment's passed, boys. Time to clear the courtroom.
His bandaged fist drove into the alien's jaw, cartilage giving way with a wet crunch. Kale roared and snatched a fallen rifle. Firing wildly across the hold, David snatched the second pirate's weapon and hurled it into the group, scattering them as he sprinted for the exit. The airlock indicator glowed 15 meters ahead, a red pulse in the smoke. He reached the door, fingers finding the emergency release as laser bolts sizzled past his ear.
15 seconds to clear the tube. Then the Mary does the rest.
The airlock door was inches from closing when Kale burst through the smoke, shoulder ramming into David's spine.
You don't walk away from me, vermin. We'll fill the void together.
They tumbled to the deck, locked in a brutal grapple. David's bandaged fist hammered into Kale's snout, splitting scales.
I never planned to walk away. but I'll crawl if I have to.
Kale's claws raked down David's side, tearing fabric and flesh. David grunted, twisting to absorb the blow.
Pain is just another variable in the equation. Adjust and solve.
As the gravity shifted again, David planted a boot on Kale's chest and shoved, sending the Admiral skidding across the floor. He lunged for the airlock, slamming the inner door shut and spinning the lock. Inside the cramped chamber, he yanked a spacesuit from its rack, forcing his battered body into the worn gear.
1 minute of air. More than enough to watch the finale from the best seat in the house.
David's gloved hand slapped the override, and the outer airlock door blew open, vacuum sucking him into the star-pricked dark. He tumbled away from the Mary, the Armada, stretching behind the freighter like a wall of steel.
Now the real show, 600 ships, one closing fist.
The cube's light erupted through the hold, a cold blue star outpacing the fleet's panicked lights. The Mary bucked and twisted, its spine groaning, but internal fields held, built by people who knew what they were making. A pirate destroyer's bow wrinkled like foil, losing the fight against an invisible tide. A frigate crunched into a dense sphere, its own mass turning against it. Ships slid inward across the fleet, engines flaring uselessly, spiraling toward a single brilliant point.
Robert thought he sold Earth's address. He just bought his people a front-row seat to the fallout.
David drifted, visor reflecting the light, the silent screams of dying warships around him. A cruiser sheared in half, its two segments spiraling separately into the growing core of the well. Escape pods launched in droves, only to be caught mid-flight and dragged back into the collapsing mass.
600 ships, 600 crews, and not one of them thought to ask who'd built the trap before walking into it.
The flagship, its hull glowing from stress, fired its main thrusters until they melted, and still it slid backward.
Kale's still on that bridge. I gave him a choice. He made the wrong one.
The point of light at the center grew brighter, a diamond-hard pinprick where hundreds of ships had been.
That point of light will be visible from Mars. A warning, not a memorial.
The few remaining ships, caught in overlapping gravity currents, were shredded, their fragments joining the central mass.
I didn't start this war, but I ended it. That will have to be enough.
Silence reclaimed the void. The Armada was gone, reduced to a dense sphere of twisted metal, drifting past the Mary. David's suit beeped an oxygen warning, but he didn't move yet. The silence was absolute, broken only by his own breathing and the crackle of cooling metal from the debris.
600 ships, and all I feel is tired. No elation, just a heavy quiet.
He engaged his suit's thrusters, a gentle push turning him toward the Mary. The freighter floated ahead, battered but intact, its running lights still blinking.
She held. Good girl. Now to get back inside and finish the job.
He drifted past a chunk of debris, a twisted girder with the Crimson Wake insignia still visible.
47 clans pooled everything. Now it's slag, but the one who sent them is still breathing.
The thought of Robert's smug face tightened his jaw as he maneuvered toward the open airlock.
First, Doc. Then, Robert. The man who sold us out gets his invoice.
David's suit thrusters delivered him into the waiting airlock. The outer door clamped shut, and atmosphere roared back with a hiss. He twisted the helmet off, exhaling sharply. The recycled air was stale but gloriously breathable. He pushed off and limped through the corridor, stepping over debris and fallen pirates, until he settled into the pilot's seat with a heavy sigh.
Ships holding. Good. Now to find the auctioneer.
His fingers danced across the console, sifting through comm logs until a Vexari auction house signature surfaced. The entry read, Robert of Vexar, Grand Auctioneers. David's thumb hovered, then tapped the connect key. The screen shifted to a call screen, a green icon pulsing as the transmission hurtled across the stars.
Come on, you lime green traitor. Let me see your face when you realize your 47 billion just became a debris field.
The chime repeated, a lonely note in the silence. No answer. Not yet.
David leaned back, the cigarette already lit. The call would connect. He just had to wait.
The call connected, and Robert's bulbous face filled the screen, still wearing the smug satisfaction of a successful auction.
Human, you are the freighter captain. Did the Crimson Wake not find your little ship? I expected you'd be space dust by now.
They found me. And I found you, Robert. We got your coordinates, too.
Robert's yellow eyes bulged, the smugness peeling away like old paint.
My coordinates? How? No, you are bluffing. A single human can't threaten me. I am protected.
Protected. You are sitting in a building that's about to become a crater. I've got a soul defense beacon pointed at your roof.
Robert's crimson sash seemed to pale as he fumbled with his console, scanning for threats that were already locked on.
This is insane. I'll call the authorities. I'll double your bounty.
No authorities can reach you in time. You sold Earth, Robert. Now Earth is buying your auction house. Permanent foreclosure.
David's finger hovered over a second remote, a twin to the one he'd used before. Robert's scream hadn't started yet, but it was coming. David pressed the second remote. In orbit above Robert's world, a soul defense beacon flared to life. The beam struck the Grand Auctioneer's building, an invisible fist that shattered windows for a kilometer.
No, wait, I'll refund everything. I'll give you the exchange's entire list.
The roof peeled away, and Robert felt his body lift, a mockery of flight as the gravity well intensified. His screams became a wet crunch as the walls closed in, compressing steel, bone, and greed into a single point. The Grand Auctioneers vanished, replaced by a perfectly smooth sphere of compressed matter hanging in the air. The feed cut to static. Across the city, every monitor in the black market district flickered and died. The black market that had sold Earth's future was now a crater, its auctioneer a smear in the gravitational record. The orbital beacon dimmed, its work complete. A single speck of light marked the grave of 47 billion credits. Robert of Vexar was no more. And across the galaxy, everyone who had ever sold a human coordinate began to feel very, very cold. David killed the transmission, leaving the static to fizzle out. The cockpit fell silent, save for the Mary's tired groaning. He toggled the open frequency used by the exchange, the channel still buzzing with distant, hurried chatter.
Attention, Outer Rim Exchange. This is Captain David Reeves of the Mary. Earth's coordinates are not for sale. Anyone else interested can preview the Crimson Wake's debris field as a sample of our response.
He released the key, letting the words hang in the void for every black market ear to catch.
That should do it. If they're smart, they'll delete every human address and pretend we never happened.
He fished a crumpled pack from his jacket, drawing out a fresh cigarette with practiced ease. The lighter flared and the first drag of smoke curled lazily toward the ceiling.
2 beacons, 2 graves, 47 billion credits, and a traitor erased. Now what?
He stared through the viewport, the aftertaste of ash grounding him as the Mary drifted in the silence of space. He broke the silence by reaching for the navigation console, his bandaged fingers tapping coordinates into the system. Earth's coordinates glowed on the screen. Home, just a string of numbers on a battered console. The Mary's engines shifted pitch, a low drone rattling the hull as she turned her nose toward the distant blue marble. David took a long drag, letting the smoke curl into his lungs before releasing it in a slow, steady stream. Through the viewport, the stars stretched into infinity, cold, indifferent, and entirely silent.
They made their choice. So did I. No point in regret, just a course correction.
A small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. The gesture didn't reach his tired eyes. The Mary accelerated, the blue dot of Earth swelling on the view screen as the ship settled into its return trajectory. He punched the autopilot and leaned back, the ancient seat creaking under his weight. The Mary slid into the dark, a tiny light carrying a single tired captain and a galaxy's worth of warning. The Mary dwindled to a speck against the starfield, its running lights no brighter than distant suns. Inside the cockpit, the last ember of David's cigarette glowed, a dying sun in the dim blue light. He ground it out in the overflowing ashtray, the butt twisting among dozens of forgotten brothers. A thin trail of smoke curled upward, twisting through the still air before dissipating into the shadows. Outside, the ship passed the last drifting debris, a twisted plate from a Crimson Wake frigate, tumbling end over end. The autopilot blinked steadily, a silent heartbeat guiding the battered freighter home. Stars wheeled slowly in the viewport, indifferent and eternal, as the ship cut its silent path. The Mary became a faint dot, then indistinguishable from the cold glitter of the cosmos. In the cockpit, the crushed cigarette smoldered, a thin ribbon of smoke, the only movement left. And then only the void, silent and indifferent, holding a warning written in gravity and ash.